What is up, everybody? It's Nick Pileggi here. I haven't made a video in a while, and for that I apologize, but today I think I owe you guys a video because we have just reached 100 subscribers. Today I had some work to do on one of my cars, so I figured now would be the time to get back into it. What are we working on today? 1984 Mercedes 300D. Since I've never introduced this car on my channel yet, and I'm going to take the time now to do so since I'm still waiting for some parts that are coming momentarily. So this is my 1984 Mercedes 300D, otherwise known as the W123. I have owned this car for exactly 1 year now. I bought it for $1,000 and it's got $284,000 on it. The interior is not the worst condition, but the seats are in amazing condition and they're very comfortable. That's for everything else. Mechanically, this car is 100% sound. It leaks a little bit of oil out of some of the gaskets, but it's not really enough to cause the level to drop, so I'm not really worried about it. When I got it, I put new glow plugs in. I had to do some rewiring to the starter. I've done a coolant flush and thermostat change, and I've installed that hickey thing. Why? Because I wanted to, and because the stock airbox over here is such a piece of... And I'll tell you why. First off, this thing is massive and takes up half the entire engine bay. The mounts for the air cleaner, which are these, which the other one goes there, which I don't have anymore, is secured to the bottom of this bracket with a nut. And the nut on this side likes to come out and just drop down in the middle of driving, and you lose it on the highway somewhere. Air cleaner housing just starts banging against the valve cover there, and you get people looking at you, looking like you're thinking your car's gonna blow up. Another reason is this tube, which mounts to the front of the turbo like that and goes into the air cleaner housing. This right here, this connection, which is supposed to be rubber and flexible, is rock solid. It just slips right off of the front of the turbo, so you're basically just letting unfiltered air into the engine. So arguably this would actually be better than the stock intake because it's at least getting some filter. And it makes some mad choo-choo noises, which I think y'all are gonna like. I have also done upper control arms and ball joints and sway bar end link, and I did the lower ball joints and the lower control arm bushings. So what are we doing to this thing today? All right here. Ignore this mess. This is from my truck. I'm redoing the interior on it. But we're doing oil change with some Rotella 1540. We're doing fuel filters and probably a fuel pump primer. I'm not really sure how I'm going to get to that with that crow's foot, and I don't really feel like going out to get them. And we're doing four-wheel brakes and wheel bearings and everything associated with them. I'm not sure when the last time these rotors were done, or these brakes were done, but pad life is not so bad, but these rotors, I don't know if you can tell that, but they are worn way down. These things are razor thin. So in order to get these brakes out, you gotta start by taking off the caliper bracket bolts back here, like that one, which is a 19 on this car. And I have to, since my rotor has such a big lip on it, I'm gonna have to get in there with my pliers and squeeze the pistons in. Got this cap off, and the way you do that is you take a pry bar into the lip like that, and you smack on the end of it with a hammer, and then it'll pop off. And then to get the wheel bearing apart, this is easy. You just take a 5mm Allen. It's a locking nut thing that just pinches onto it, and then you can just unscrew it by hand. Might help to use a little pliers. So here we go on the rotor. We have some Allen screws to knock out, and then we can take this rotor out. Okay, so I just want to show you a quick little trick here. So for these rear wheel bearing and seal, an easy way to get these out. Flip rotor over, and you're going to take a pry bar, that's the inner bearing right there, and you're just going to stick the pry bar right in there like that, and you're going to beat the end of it, and you're going to push the wheel bearing down. There you go. There you go. Little trick from being a diesel mechanic. I should probably put a rag under this. It's a good thing this is all getting replaced anyway. So I went ahead and packed the wheel bearings off camera because it's extremely messy and I didn't want to get any of that on my camera here. But yeah, see it's all in there. I'm just gonna knock the seals in. Alright, and there we go. Got our seals in. The way I do that is, since I didn't have a driver or anything, I just used one of the races and just tapped it in with a hammer. My new brake rotors here. Let's throw these bad boys on. Here we got the wheel bearing in. Again, I didn't film that because you don't need to see me just slobbering that thing up and getting my phone all dirty. But yeah, there it is. Now I'm just gonna clean up the nut, throw it back on, tighten it down, and yeah, and we'll just swap the pads out and we'll be done. So these brakes are kind of interesting. The way you get these pads out is you take a punch in there, there's a hole in there, and you just knock these little pins out, and they're very easy to knock out, like shockingly easy to knock out. And then the pads just come straight up. Alright, brakes are in. Looks like I'm not using the sensors because they're braking as I'm taking them out, so it's okay. They're already cut off on the other side by somebody else. So front brakes are done now. What I'm doing when I put this rotor on is I'm going to adjust the parking brake. And the way you do that is with this little star wheel here. Pry bar, and you, so it's a little stuck, turn it. I think that way is tight, and then you can loosen it this way. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be putting the rotor on, checking, see if it's hitting yet, and then I'm going to bring it out until it contacts the rotor, and I can't get the rotor on, and then I back it off a couple turns until I don't feel it drag anymore. The wheels are back on. Now all I've got left to do is change these fuel filters and hopefully the hand primer. Fuel filters are done, and so is the hand primer. I didn't do the small filter and the primer on camera because it's kind of down there. Not sure how I would be able to get that shot with my current setup, but I did it, so there it is. Once I had that filter out of the way, I was able to just take a small adjustable wrench and clamp it onto there and take it right off. It wasn't that tight. It's probably why it was leaking. Got it cranked down nice and tight, and I ended up having to go through all of these hoses and tighten all their clamps because they were all loose. So we are all done now. See, hand pump. Got a whole lot of that to do. So I'm gonna bring this thing down off the jack stands and we're gonna prime this thing up and start it, and then we shall be done after a test drive. I have to go for my drive now, and this thing is idling buttery smooth. Alright, well that's our video for today. Drop a like, subscribe, maybe leave a comment. Alright, thanks for watching. Firebird.